This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Welcome back. Jonathan Clark, we're in the studio with one of my favorite, well, he's not really new, but new to some people that might be watching on Facebook and listening on the radio. His name is Marcus King, and his new album is El Dorado. The debut solo album comes out in January 2020, playing the Beacon Theater here in New York City, December 21st. All the tour dates, marcuskingband.com. Welcome, Marcus.
Hey, man.
I've been watching you in videos for years now. I've never seen you live. I know you've played here before, so I'm really looking forward to that Beacon Theater show. El Dorado is Spanish, but it translated into English, place of fabulous riches.
Yeah.
So is that about moving from Greenville to Nashville?
Yeah, man. It's really about seeing Nashville as a place for just tremendous opportunity, and that's one of the reasons I moved there. A couple years ago, I got reached out to, and Dan Auerbach wanted to get together and write some tunes.
From the Black Keys, yeah.
Yeah, and that just really stunned me, and it kind of came out of nowhere, so I got on the next flight the next day and went to Nashville because they're residents of Nashville, the Black Keys are, and we wrote together and we really hit it off, became good pals, and then, a year later we do this record, and that was a big reason for me moving there, just seeing what a vibe that he's created and what a buzz there is there for younger artists that are trying to just be around a happening,
Easy Eye Studios, is that the name of the place? Easy Eye Sound, is that the name of his studio? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So El Dorado, don't you have an El Dorado?
I do, man. It all came together.
You have a vintage El Dorado, too.
Yeah, it all came together in such a wild way. Auerbach's the one that told me, because I was looking to get a car, because I had just gotten rid of my minivan that I had since I was in
Were the
high
doors
school.
at least electric? Did they open?
No.
Oh, man.
I didn't have a fancy one. It's a Chrysler Town & Country in '01. It was a good van, really inconspicuous. It was great. And I gave it to my mother, and I needed a car for Nashville, so he told me, don't get an old truck because it's a terrible idea and terrible investment. So I took those words, and he said I should get a Cadillac, so I did that. I found a tremendous deal on a 1980 El Dorado. I just fell in love with that car. And around that same time, my folks brought me a housewarming gift, which was the first guitar that I had a memory of. The first cognitive memory I have as a human being is this particular instrument. And they had given it to someone for a while, and I had assumed that this guitar was all but gone or pawned or something, and they were able to get it back, and they gave it to me. And it's actually an Epiphone El Dorado.
Whoa.
So
is that a semi-hollow body? What? I'm not even familiar with that.
It's just an acoustic guitar.
Just an acoustic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just a 70s Epiphone acoustic. And
your first blisters were achieved on the El Dorado guitar?
Yeah, it's safe to say.
Marcus King is with us. And speaking of your family, I know you come from a musical family. When did you first pick up the guitar? Was it 9, 10? How old were you?
Well, I mean, for me, it was always something that was around. My grandfather's a picker, and my father is as well, both my uncles. So I grew up around it. There was always an instrument in the house, and from the time I could really stand or walk or anything, I had something.
Yeah.
But when I was 7, my father got me a Squier Stratocaster.
Okay, yeah.
And I played that.
It's a good starter vehicle.
7 hours a day. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Before that, I had a miniature Les Paul that I would play. I still have it, and I'd play it. It's a great sounding guitar.
Do you remember the first song that like was like a lightning bolt into your head that you were like, I have to learn how to play that song?
Yeah, man. I was way into early Leonard Skinner.
Okay.
I was spoon-fed Allman Brothers Band from when I was a kid. But that early Leonard Skinner,
Street Survivors earlier?
Earlier, man. I'm talking
Yeah.
like Second Helping and
Yeah.
the Pronounced album. And even before that, when they did their stuff down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. That's some really special music. And it's really just good rock and roll music, Sometimes it can be categorized as really Southern, which, I get that. And I get that stigma too, but man, early 70s, that was just a killer, blistering rock band.
For
And the
really
fir-
well-produced albums, too.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And great guitar players in that band, obviously. People have called, you were talking about this, a blues guitar hero, but I just found this out, that you actually studied jazz theory at a school in Greenville, South Carolina, right?
I did. When I was in high school, I'd leave my high school in Piedmont, South Carolina, and drive 40 minutes to the other side of Greenville proper, and I'd study at the Fine Arts Center under Steve Watson's careful eye. And this guy was a genius. He was a Greenville native, but he lived in L.A. for most of the 70s and 80s.
What was his instrument? Was he a guitar guy, too?
Yes,
or?
sir.
Okay.
A guitarist and arranger. And he played with the Brecker brothers, and he was on the A-team out there.
Whoa, Breckers.
Yeah, he played with them, and he would write all the guitar parts for, like, Hill Street Blues and the A-team and all these.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then he played with Dolly Parton. And he had a little girl, so he moved back to Greenville, and he became the jazz theory professor there, and really taught us quite well. And
So you can actually read music if you want, right?
well, that's the thing about reading music, is it's such an acquired skill set. It's not something that you can be talented at or natural at or gifted at. It's not one of those things. It's something that you have to keep doing. I mean, that's my opinion, which is, whatever. But yeah, I think it would take me a little while to get back in the swing, but I retained just enough, maybe a little less, from my years.
I've been on this Ken Burns kick, and I've been watching the Ken Burns Jazz one, which I highly recommend. I mean, it goes way back to the mid-1800s, starts in New Orleans, and I mean, it's just fantastic. But you, and I don't think you can do it. Maybe you can, but you had an exercise that you learned at that studying jazz theory based on a Charlie Parker song. I don't know. Do you want to try that exercise?
Yeah, we could try it. I mean, it's
Charlie Parker wrote a song. What was the song?
It's a song called Donna Lee, and I learned this song in that school because I had to play it. It's kind of difficult.
That's a handbreaker, that one.
It's kind of difficult to play on this resonator, too.
Yeah.
And it's early in the morning.
Marcus King, thank you so much for coming by. Let's talk about the new album. El Dorado comes out in January. You have made some good friends over the years, and maybe even mentors, including Warren Haynes and Derek Trucks. You've known those guys for quite a while now, right?
Yeah, man. Derek Trucks is a really good friend of mine.
And vocally, you have been compared to Greg Allman, and your guitar chops. Some have compared you to Duane Allman. Did you recently play the Grand Ole Opry?
I did.
Now that's the new one, not the old one, right? It's not the Ryman, it's the other one on the other side of town, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's a newer building. They have a circle of stage that's from the original stage.
Right, a piece of the wood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I stood, and I could really feel the gravity of the situation. I could feel my grandfather there with me.
Oh, your granddad played there?
No, he never played there, but it was a goal of his and a lifelong dream to make it to Nashville and to be a player. And he was a player his whole life, but he ended up enlisting in the service when he was 17 years old, lied about his age, and got the heck out of Dodge,
Yeah.
Things weren't all that good at home in the Depression-era South, so he got out of Dodge and went overseas. And that one was from my grandfather, and it was a really special moment for me.
Yeah, can imagine. This new album, there are some rockers on here, but there are also some more sort of soulful, I wouldn't call them bluesy, but they're like almost ballads, some of these songs. Was that an influence of just working with Dan and some of the other songwriters for this album?
Man, well, whenever we do our writing sessions, I'd come in with all my ideas, and they tend to be more on the melancholy side, just based off of the way that I use music is is to get those emotions out and to.
You're lucky. Most people go see a therapist.
Yeah, I've had some bad therapists in my day, but music is a really true form of therapy, and it listens quite well if you can put everything you have into it.
Yeah. The song we've been playing from the new album is The Well. What can you tell us about this song?
Man, I could tell you, the riff just kind of came out of thin air, and we knew that we needed to put something around it. And my good friend Ronnie Bowman, fantastic writer, he came in from the alley to write a song, and he said, "Man, I got this idea. One for the money, two another show, and that's all I got." I was like, "I'll work with it. Let's build it around that." And it ended up being a kind of a glimpse into all the people that I looked up to growing up, whether it be family members that were musicians or just earnest people, or Bobby Womack and Aretha Franklin, which are just a couple of the artists that the band that was on this record played with them. Elvis Presley, we had two of the original Memphis boys on this record, Bobby Woods and Gene Chrisman. We had a stellar band of.
Sounds like it. Wow. Just
the top of the top, and it was intimidating, but it was so motivating and so incredible. It was a real joy.
You mentioned this before, the band. You did this video of the song "The Weight" with Robbie Robertson in L.A. I don't know where you were. What was it? Playing for a Change, I think, is the organization, right?
Yes, sir. Playing for Change is the organization, and I was actually in Gold Coast, Australia.
Wow.
And that was the only time that we could really get together to do it, and they happened to be there, so we got together with them, and it says Greenville, South Carolina, but I'm actually in Australia. and they synced it all together, and it was so sweet of Mr. Robertson to want me to be part of that, and to sing the first verse. I was so rightfully intimidated, I should say.
What's the first verse? I pulled into Nazareth?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Intimidation.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So you just did some tour dates with Chris Stapleton, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
What makes Chris so great from your perspective?
From my perspective, Chris is just a great human being. He's so gracious and such a good host. And on my first day there, he watched our sound check. He watched our set. He was just so inviting and so warm. He and his entire crew, they're just a great example of just hard-working, just down-to-earth, just beautiful people. And heck of a singer, too, right?
Heck of a guitar player, right?
Heck of a guitar player. I mean, just all around, Chris is just one of those artists that you can look up to and have hope in, someone like me that likes to sing and play guitar, and write music, What a writer, too.
Yeah.
He's one of those artists that I can look up to and really learn a lot from.
Yeah.
And now, as a friend and a mentor, I can learn a lot from him just as a human being as well.
I guess pretty much every awesome guitar player in the world was at the recent Crossroads Guitar Festival, including yourself. Tell me about that. Any amazing meetings, conversations, jam sessions that come to top of mind immediately? Man,
that whole experience is more like a dream to me, just like the Opry was. Every bit of it was unreal, and from Keb Mo introducing me to Bonnie Raitt, who was standing next to Bill Murray, because I love Bill Murray.
Yeah, who doesn't?
All the way from that first National Lampoon's record, I'm a real big Bill Murray fan, and he was emceeing the event, and just going to see Kurt Rosenwinkel play, and running into Jerry Douglas in the airport, Peter Frampton sitting behind me on the airplane.
Oh man.
All these things kind of were just building and building to the point of after we played our set, and I was shaking like a leaf, which doesn't really happen often, but I couldn't calm my nerves because I knew on the side of the stage was one of my biggest heroes. It was Eric Clapton.
Oh, wow.
So when I came off the stage, he was there, and he had very sweet things to say, and I gave him a big sweaty hug. I'm sure security wasn't too far away.
Oh my God,
Keeping a
so
close
cool.
eye. Yeah, it was great.
Have you ever tried to attempt to play the pedal steel guitar?
Yeah, man, I actually played pedal
Can you
steel.
play it? Can you play it?
Yeah, I actually played it on our last 2 records.
Oh, you did? Is it on this current one, on the El Dorado? Or are you playing?
Oh, no,
You had some real Nashville guys doing
see,
that?
I play pedal steel, but I'm not a pedal steel player.
Right, yeah.
It's one of these instruments that's, you need an engineering degree to really understand the intricacies.
You have to be a
of it.
rocket scientist, right? Pretty much to
and
master
Paul,
that.
Yeah, and Paul Franklin certainly is, yeah.
Marcus King is his name. His new album is El Dorado. It's the debut solo album. Comes out January 2020. He'll be at the Beacon Theater December 21st, and all the tour dates, MarcusKingBand.com. Marcus, real pleasure having you in the studio with us. Thank you for bringing that beautiful national guitar and playing for us, and we'll see you at the Beacon.
Well, thank you. I'd just like to apologize to all the jazz fans out there for butchering some Charlie Parker on this fine morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.